Am I audible? Am I audible, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are the other students? Three, six students present right now. Meaning, tell me, sure. Before Chhath Puja, the attendance is fine, but all other students join the class this year. Pratik, where did you from? Tell me. Pratik
मैम प्रतीक मंडल या प्रतीक प्रधान?
Mondal.
I'm from कोलकाता में, सोनारपुर.
Where?
हाँ, sorry,
Where in Sonarpur?
सोनारपुर.
Where in Sonarpur? Because I am also from.
जादवपुर, बाघा जतीन.
No, I know that
हाँ,
I am also the location.
your sound, ma'am, your sound is cracking.
Where in Sonarpur? Your exact location. Can you hear me?
Ah, yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you are also from Sonarpur.
Yes, that's why I'm asking you.
घासियारा
Yes,
market.
I know that. You're from
Ma'am, your
Ghashiyara.
yes,
You're from
yes,
Ghashiyara.
yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
So you are taking hostel here?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm from Nuapara.
No.
Do you know the Kamravat school?
हाँ हाँ
Yes,
हाँ
just
हाँ हाँ.
behind of Kamravat Girls School. Okay, fine. So, okay, so today we'll study about some more example regarding the exception handling. Okay, let me share the content. So, any doubt from the previous class? Any doubt from the previous class? Anyone?
हेलो मैम.
Potik, yes, Potik Pradhan, tell me. Any doubt?
मैम कल आपने थ्रोस का यूज किया था अनचेक एक्सेप्शन में.
Yes,
मैम वो तो नहीं करने पर भी काम कर जाएगा.
yes, नहीं करने पर भी काम कर जाएगा लेकिन उन्हीं और भाषण में, okay? If you are using the virtual editor and you are using the newer look, the Java is one kind of language that is changing every day. Okay, so every newer version it is just released, you will get some extra facility from there. But as you are the beginners, you need to learn from a starting point. That's why I am telling you the PBS, that is the base rules, the basic rules, the base, the foundation rules for Java. You will get lots of example from your textbooks also, as well as from your whatever you have searched from in the Google or any other searching engine, that there are lots of source code like that. You will run this code in the editor, then you may get some other result. Okay, but that may be the modification version. If you get this, this is a very good symbol, Putik, that you have checked it, that whether if you don't provide the those clause, then the unchecked exception will executing or not. Very good practice. So from that point, you will learn about that in which version it is modified. Every version you are using the newer version of Java, you will get some relaxation, because every day there is a team that who are working for it. Okay, so that the it can provide the user more flexibility. Very good observation, Pratik. So this is the primary rule. This is the basically the basic rule, that whenever you are just using any unchecked exception, or sorry, whether if you are using any exception that you are not handling, basically that is the main reason why we are using the throws clause. But now in the newer version of Java, it is already overcome. Okay, so if you not explicitly specify that part, that this particular method is containing any exception, and you are providing the exception handling mechanism, then it will be handled by the method or handled by the process in which you are just defined. It will not show you the extra message, extra error message. Okay, but for the traditional Java, the main reason for investing this throws clause is that whenever you are creating any method that is containing some exception, and that particular method knowingly or unknowingly that are used by some other method, then there must be some prevention mechanism, and for that prevention mechanism, throws clause need to be used. Okay, that's why I'm just showing you this keyword. Any other question? Any other question? Have you Pratik, you have checked for the several types of try and catch?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any query regarding that?
No, ma'am.
Today we will study about the various direction of this 5 keyword basically. What will happen if you use the multiple catch statement instead of one? What will happen if you are just using the parent class exception instead of using the child class exception that is happening in your code, like that? Okay, so except that part, do you have any query, any other query? The remaining student, Monisha? Monisha, can you hear me? Monisha is always remaining silent. Shanton,
Yes, ma'am.
any query?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Let me share the content. Screen is visible to you, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Let me move on to the next part. I think this part is already discussed with you. Okay, this is the first example that is already discussed with you, that when an exception will occur in your code, how you can handle it using a single try catch statement. Look here. Here is a single try block and there is a corresponding catch block. No variation is used here. There are some example, that is what is the arithmetic exception, what is the null pointer exception. You can just think about it. Just go through this statement, this instruction. I think you will be familiar with that. That is, if there is a division by zero, this is an arithmetic exception. If there is a case that you are just initializing the value that is null to a string, and then you want to calculate the length of the string, this type of operation will go for the null pointer exception. This is just the example. Okay, so that you can get familiar of that. If you have done this part in your code, then what will happen? This is one kind of exception, that is number format. You are just changing this integer dot parseInt instead of the string basically. And this is just like the array indexing, that here you are just creating an array that can hold at max, that is the 5 number, but here you want to access the 10th position of that array. Okay, so definitely it will be the array index out of bind exception. This is the example for exception basically. Okay, now we'll move for the part that is the try catch. Okay, this part is already over to you. That is what is the syntax for try and catch. Now we'll move for the next one, that is the 4 keyword is already explained to you, that is try, catch, throw and throws, but not finally. Okay, today we'll also learn about the finally clause. Okay, look at the syntax basically, that what Potik Pradhan have mentioned already, that is if you are not using the catch statement with a corresponding try statement, is it possible in Java? The answer will be yes. Okay, for the beginning you will learn that part, that for a particular try statement there will be a corresponding catch statement. This is the beginner knowledge. Okay, but there is also an exception, that is if you are using the try block but you are not providing the corresponding catch block, then what you need to do, at least you need to do some prevention mechanism, that will be incorporated in your finally block, so that whatever the necessary action that you want to complete before terminating of that program, that particular instruction must be written within this finally block. Okay, and the syntax is that the finally block is normally associated with a corresponding try block. Okay, this is the syntax basically. Now move on to the next, but we'll see on an example on it, that is what is finally. This is the internal working that I have already explained to you, that what is happened whenever there is an exception, how it can be handled. Okay, this is the default handler, and this is the handler that if you have the full control on your program. This part is already over to you, that's why I'm not repeating here. Now look at this code. What is happening here in this code, we are not using the try catch basically. So definitely this part is already shown to you in your previous class. Definitely it will provide you an exception, and rest of the code will not be executed. So you need to provide the exception handling mechanism, and the first part for exception handling mechanism is the try catch block. So you need to use the try catch block to handle your exception handling part. That is the first part. The main purpose of the try block, I have already told you, that is whether you need to examine a certain set of code in a try block, certain set of code, that whether there is an exception or not, try to put that code in a corresponding try block. Okay, and after that try block, just use one catch block, so that whenever you are making some abnormal condition, or whenever you are executing some abnormal condition, and there is an exception is occurring, that means an object is created here, and that object is returned back to this method in which it is created. Then this method will search for the corresponding catch block to handle this object. Okay, so what is happening here inside this try block, this exception is happened, that is one arithmetic type of exception is happened. That means one object is created, this object is caught by this block basically, that is in arithmetic exception. This is the object basically. Okay, and what we have done here in the catch statement, we are just catch block basically, we are just printing this exception. Okay, next, this is the main part, that is whenever you are creating this, then this part, this is the rest of the code part will be executing. You are familiar with that in your previous class. Wait a minute. Okay, so look at this. In the previous one, the rest of the code, this statement is not in your output screen. But in this case, that whenever you are handle your exception using the tie catch block, then rest of the code, that means this printing statement is now executing. So this is in your output screen right now. Okay. Now go for the next one. Next one example. Okay, I think you have no doubt at this point. This is the example that is already shown to you, that if you put down that what Pratik Mondal have asked, that if you put down that this SOP in the try block, what will happen? Definitely this part will also not be in an executing mode, because this is in the try block, and in this try block an exception is already occurred. So whenever an exception is already occurred, that is enclosed within the try block, so the remaining statement will not be in executing. Okay, so always try to remember this part, that if you have a doubt in your mind that this particular set of action may continue some exception, may carry some exception, then try to put down these related tasks into a single block, not any non-related tasks with it. Look at this. These two part is not related anymore. Here you are performing one arithmetic calculation, and here you are just showing another message. This message is also not related with that. So why you will put these two different part in a single unit? Definitely not. That's if you just put down, if you knowingly or unknowingly just put down this particular instruction in this dialog, definitely this will be hamper your programming flow basically. So this part will not be in an executing mode, because it is within the try block, and in this try block already after this point there is an exception is already occurred. Okay, so look at here, there is no, the output will be the description of the exception, no rest of code, that means this statement will not be printed here. Okay, so this part is already over. Sorry. Example, that if you don't print the default that this E inside this SOP, then it is also possible. It is not a specific rules that whenever you are catching any exception, that object must be printed, that the description of that object must be printed within the corresponding catch block. It is also possible that you can write down your own user defined statement here, that means a custom message basically. Okay, it is also possible that, don't think that there is a restriction, that whenever you are writing down here as an exception, and think about that this E is a user defined, you can write down here any other object name also. This is not restricted to E. Okay, this is not restricted to this E, you can write down here any variable name. Okay, and as well as it is also possible so that you can write down here your own custom message. This is not limited, this is not restricted by you, that you need to always write down the E here, that is the exception object. Okay, this is similar example, you don't need to, you can just move on to the next part, that is Similar with your previous day program. Okay, now we'll concentrate basically on the multiple Java nested try catch. You can do it, and if there are multiple catch statement, then what will happen? Okay, normally what happen? A try block can be followed by a particular catch statement, the corresponding catch statement. This is the normal scenario. Okay, but it is also possible for Java language that you can write down more than one catch statement of a corresponding type block. Java allow you to do that. Okay. And each catch block must contain a different exception handling. Definitely, whenever you are writing down a catch block, that means in that catch block, you are providing some exception handling mechanism. Otherwise, why you will provide the different catch block? Definitely, there is no meaning for that. Okay. Now, if you have to perform different tasks at the occurrence of different exception, then you will go for the multiple catch block. But you need to remember one thing, that at a time only one exception occurs, and at a time only one catch block will be executed. This point just keep in your mind, that it is the flexibility for Java programming language, that you can provide multiple catch block and you can provide multiple exception handling mechanism in your corresponding code. But at a one time, if there is an exception that is occurred, so only one catch block will be executed. No other catch block will be executed simultaneously. Okay, and another point with the extension of this point, that all catch block must be ordered from most specific to most general. Most specific to most general. That is, the catch block for the arithmetic exception must come before the class for the exception, because exception is the parent class. So what is happening, if you provide the exception class at the very beginning of your catch block, then definitely no child class will be executed. So if you write down just the order of the catch block, you need to keep in your mind that order must be in a most specific to most general. So what exception will be in your more general part, the generalized form. That is the parent class. If you are going for the specialization and generalization purpose, and that is happening in the class hierarchy, what is happening? That the parent class means that is the most general. If you want to specify it in your child class, then you are making the child class. That means there is some unique feature instead of the parent class features. In the child class, there is the features for parent class also. But why we are creating the child class? Because the child class also contain the several other facility, several other uniqueness. So if you just think about this part, from the parent class to the child class, what is happening here? You are specializing. Okay, you are making more specific. And if you just think about that part in the reverse way, that means from two child class there is a parent class. That means you are, what you have done, you are generalizing the common features that this two child class is holding right now, and that common features will belongs to the parent class. So if you think about this part from the bottom to top, it will be go for the generalization. These two part is very much important for any programming language, that what is the concept for generalization and specialization, especially for the object oriented programming, basically where you have the concept for inheritance, because inheritance means you are providing some hierarchical issue here. Okay, that means there is some parent class, and after that there are some child class, and you also make that child class as a parent class for the next level child class. That means multiple level inheritance. So for that purpose, if you are creating the generalization as well as specialization, in that part you need to remember that all the catch block must be ordered from most specific, that means specialization to generalization. Don't put down the parent class at the very beginning, so that if the compiler get the parent class, it will just continue for that class only, will not go for the specific one. Okay. So take one example for it. This is the example flowchart basically that I have just explained to you. Now move on to this example. What is happening here? Look at this example. In this example, we are creating, we are making this instruction, that is, we are creating one array here, and that array can contain, that is, 5 integer number, and in the array fifth position, we are just initializing one value, that is calculated the 30 divided by 0. That means there is a arithmetic exception. Okay, there is an arithmetic exception. And what we are performing here? We are performing here for this corresponding try block. We are providing 1, 2, and I think there is another catch statement. Yes, we are providing 3 corresponding catch statement here. For a particular try block, we are providing here 3 catch statement. For first catch statement, we are providing the exception and exception class, that is the arithmetic exception. And since it is related to array, we are also providing, that is the array index out of bound exception. And at the very last statement, we are providing here the super class of all this child class, because just think about the class hierarchy of the exception. Exception is the parent class of arithmetic exception and array index out of bound exception. Okay, and what is the topmost parent class? Can anyone of you tell me? Can recall this part, that what is the topmost parent class of in case of exception? In the previous day class, I think I have shown you the
Throwable.
Yes, very good. You may get MCQ question from this part, that which one is the parent class for the exception, or all exception basically. And look at it. What is happening here? There are 3 corresponding statements, that is, for first one is the arithmetic exception occurs, second one is the array index and out of bound exception occur, and third one is the parent exception occur. Now can you guess that which corresponding catch block will be executed here? And that corresponding catch block SOP will be in your output screen. That corresponding catch block SOP will be in your output screen. Here we are performing these 2 instructions.
Arithmetic exception occurs. Fast catch block.
Yes, so fast catch block will be executing. But if you just reverse this part, then what will happen? You will see it in later. And I think there is no doubt that why this rest of the code will be in your output screen. I think clear to all of you? So it is possible, the main concept is, it is possible in Java that for a try block, you can use more than one catch block. Okay, and that catch block may contain several class of exception. And the corresponding catch block will be executing if there is an error, if there is an exception basically. Okay, but there is also a limitation. We'll see it, that is just I have mentioned to you, that is most specific to most general. What is this? I think there will be an example for it. No, this is not. This is the example for the corresponding catch block basically. Look at it. This example will help you for another point. Look at this. What is happening here? Here we are performing one null pointer type of exception. For the first thing that I have shown you, that is for an arithmetic type of exception, I am providing just 3 catch block, which will contain one arithmetic exception, one array index out of bound exception, and another is the parent class, that is exception. Now, in this example, what is happening, that we are performing one null pointer type of exception, but there is no corresponding catch block of it. then what will happen? Here we are performing the null pointer type of exception, but in the case of corresponding catch block, we are providing arithmetic exception, we are providing array index out of bound exception, as well as we are providing the parent class, that is the exception. So in that case, the parent class exception will be executing. Whenever the whenever there is an object is created for the exception, the try block will search for the corresponding catch block. Basically, this try block will be searched for the corresponding catch block. But if the corresponding catch block is not present in your source code, then what will happen? Then the parent class, if there is a presence for the parent class exception, then that parent class corresponding catch block will be executing. And if you are not provided any corresponding catch block as well as the parent class, then what will happen? The default handler will handle it. Okay, so this example is important. So go for this output of this example. Look at this. Here the output is, that is the parent exception occurs, because you are not providing the right exception type, exception catch block here. Okay, so this mention this example. This example is also important. Now this is the vital part that I have just want to mention you, that what will happen if you are handling your exception without maintaining the order of the exception. That is the most specific to most general. This part is very much important. Look at the example, then it will be clear to all of you that what is happening here. In case of this case, in the try block, what you have done, you are making one arithmetic type of exception here, that is division by 0. But whenever you are just writing down the catch block, okay, what you have created at the very beginning, you are providing the super class here. At the very beginning, you are providing the super class, and after that super class, you are providing the subclass, that means the child class. So what you have done here, you have done the reverse order, that is from the most general to most specific. So if you have done this part, then there will be a compile time error. Get this output, there will be a compile time error. So you need to keep in your mind that you always try to follow the most specific to most general order. So that try to write down the child class first, child class type of exception first, then the parent class exception. If you just reverse the order, then there will be a compile time error. Java will not allow you to do that. Okay, Java always allow you to do that, that most specific to most general. That means just keep in your mind, that means from child class to the super class. This example is important. Just mention this example, that is the block 5 number of example. So 3 example that I have shown you, that is important. That first one is for a corresponding type block, you can provide multiple catch block. And the second one is, if there is no presence of corresponding catch block, and then there is a presence for the parent catch block, parent exception type of catch block, then parent plus type of, then it will be executing. But for this two part, you need to keep in your mind that whenever you are providing multiple catch block, then what you need to do, you need to do that the most specific to most general order. That means the child class first, then the parent class. If you don't follow this part, then there will be a compile time error. Okay. Now we are moving on to the next one. Okay. Now another part there needs basically is a tie block. There may be a tie catch block. This is your first tie block, main tie block, and within this tie block you are creating another tie block, and inside this tie block you are creating another tie block, like that. That means these tie blocks are now nested, one within another. Okay, this is also possible in Java. look at it. For that purpose, you also need to provide some corresponding catch block. That is, the mapping catch block will be executing fast. That means the catch block will be executing fast. That means this first try catch statement will be first executed. And then the previous one, just like the previous one, in this way, the remaining try catch block will be executed. I'm going to start. Look at this. Here is an example. That is one try block. That is the outer try block. Inside this try block, you are creating another try block. That is okay. Here is also same example. That is division by 0. That means the arithmetic type of exception. And you are providing here the corresponding catch block. Java will allow you this feature. Okay. Another type block. This is a corresponding catch block. But mind it, whenever there will be a case for the nested type catch block, you need to keep in your mind for the corresponding catch block. Okay. If you are providing the wrong exception, if you are providing the wrong error, then there may be total control of your program will be lost. It is not possible. There are lots of other examples. You can see it. I want to complete this part today. Now this is the last one, that is the Java finally block. Okay. Already know that what is the meaning for the finally block. This is the flowchart that I have already explained you. That is, this is your source code. If the exception occur, if it is no, then fine. Okay. There is no exception occur, then only be finally block. Then also be finally block will be executing. And if the exception is occurred, then also finally block will be executing. This is the main purpose. The main purpose of introducing the finally block is that before terminating of your program, Java will perform the necessary action, and that necessary action must be encoded within this finally block. So go for one example. In both the cases, whether there is an exception or not, finally block will always be in an executing mode, always be executed. Okay, get this. Here is an example. That is within this is the try block, that where we are just mentioning one piece of code that will not contain basically. So catch block will not be executed, but the finally block will be executed. This finally block will be executed. Get here. Finally block is always executed. Whether there is an exception, the main point is to tell you that whether there is an exception or not, finally block will always be executed. That is an example. Also, that is, if there is an exception, okay, then also finally block will be executed. Get here. This is the output screen. Here we are performing division by 0, but the finally block is also executing. Okay. So this is the main purpose that I just want to share with you. The 5 keywords, that is try, catch, throw, throws, and finally. Now the one most vital part that may be asked from this section basically. Throw and throws is already explained to you. That's why I'm skipping it here. No new concept behind this. One particular portion that I want to mention it. The difference, yes, the difference between the throw and throws also may be asked for you. That is, what is the difference between the throw and throws keyword? Definitely you can provide you. Whenever you will be asked for the throw and throws keyword, then definitely go for one example. One source code you must provide. Whenever you will ask for the difference between throw and throws. Okay, and the specific features of throw and throws is already known to you. You can write down this. But this part is also important. This is a famous question that can be asked for the Java programming language. It may be asked from the for the interview board. It may be asked for your semester theoretical question, and it may be asked for the MCQ also. Okay, that you will be provided with a particular piece of code, and you will be asked for whether the output of this code or not. For both this final and finally, as well as for finalize also. But this is a most favorite question for the interviewer, that whenever you will go for any Java programming language interview or any object oriented concept related interview, then what is the difference between final, finally, and finalize? Don't get confused with this three part. Okay, try to read it. So what the first point on the basis of this, whenever you want to differentiate these three basically, first one is the definition. You all know that what is the utility, what is the main feature for final keyword. That means whenever you are using this keyword in front of any method or any class or any variable. Okay, so that means you are providing some restriction to it. Final variable means it cannot be modified, its value cannot be modified. Final class means this class cannot be inherited. Okay, so these are the restriction basically. And what is done whenever you are using this finally? Finally is the block in Java exception handling to execute the most important or the tasks that are need to perform before closing the application. This is basically a block. Okay, and what is the finalize? Finalize is basically a method that is used in Java to perform the cleanup processing just before the object is garbage collected. Just before the object is garbage collected. Just means the reallocation of memory basically. Okay, so this is the first point. Next, applicable to. This is related to this definition basically. That means the final keyword can be used in association with class, method, and variables. Finally, block is normally related to die-catch block in the corresponding exception handling mechanism. And finalize, this is a method basically that will be used whenever we want to free up some object, free up some memory location that are occupied by some creating of some object. Okay. And next, what is the functionality? Look at here. That is just I have told to you that final variable means value cannot be modified, method means cannot be overridden, and as well as class means cannot be inherited. Okay, and what is the case for the finally block will run the important code even if the exception occur or not. Okay, and what is happening actually in case of finally block? Normally you can provide some example also here. The most important example, most important tasks that must need to be performed before closing your application, just like clean up some resources that is used by the try block so that other can use it. Okay, and what is the functionality for finalize method? The finalize method performs the cleaning activities with respect to the object basically before its destruction. Whenever you want to reallocate a memory, basically you want to free up a memory. Okay, so before freeing up a memory, this finalize method will be called by JVM basically. Okay, so that if there is a necessary action need to be performed for this object, that must be handled. Otherwise, it is happening that if a object is not using is not using for a long time, it may be destructed. But there may be some reference with that object in your source code. Okay, that is not activated for a long duration. So you need to call for finalize method. That is a responsibility for Java. Okay, this is a unique feature in Java basically. Okay, and the next part, that is the execution. This is basically related to the method, and this is you already know it, that when the finally block will be executed, whether there is an exception or not, before terminating the program, this block must be executed. and when the finalize method will be used before destroying any object. Okay, so this is the total case for the, I think no other, yes, this part is related to you, this is already explained to you, so it is not need to explain it again. So these are the total parts that you need to follow whenever you want to study the exception handling. Look at here in this note or in this 3-day lecture material, I am providing you the basic concept for the exception. Next, the handling. In the next class, we have done the virtual lab example for the 5 keyword, and today we have discussed with you that what are the questions that may be asked from this section and what are the several other scenario. Okay, so that whenever you are using the tie catch, if there are many more scenario, that is what will be the case for multiple catch block, what will be the case for the different order of the catch block, what will be the case for the tie catch block. Okay, this part is explained to you. So go through this note. If you have any doubt, if you have any observation, any new observation, feel free to ask me. Okay. Any queries, students, till now that what I have just covered right now? Any queries, students? Shoikot Maiti, can you hear me? Shoikot? Hello? Shohel? Am I audible to you now? Shohel?
Yes.
So why lots of the students are in silent mode? It's embarrassing, na? Okay, so do you have any query, Shohel? Since you are
No.
answering, that's why I am asking you. Okay, fine. So rest of the students, if you have any query, then please ask me in the next class. Okay. I'm taking your attendance first. Then I will close the class.